Hi, I'm Gillian and welcome to the show. I offer spiritual growth for the rebel soul, guiding you through the labyrinth of your own ascension path. This show is for the rebel souls that challenge the status quo, those that crave authenticity in every single aspect of their lives, that desire to embrace their uniqueness, follow their passions, connect to their soul and live according to who they truly are, even if that means having the courage to go against the grain or the norms of society. If that's you, my spiritual soul seeker, rebel warrior, then this is the place for you. On this podcast, we speak about everything from spirituality, sexuality, conscious relationships, business, and literally everything in between. So if that's your jam, then stay tuned. And go on, be a rebel and subscribe. You know you want to. In today's episode, we're going to dive into something that I actually see more and more often in my work. And it's why some people feel blocked when they're trying to access their past lives or even meet their higher self. So if you've ever struggled to connect with your past life memories or felt a resistance maybe when you're doing some deep spiritual work, then this episode is for you. We're going to explore how your inner child wounds, your self-worth issues, and fear of the unknown can actually create blocks to you going deeper and to healing. And most importantly, how you can actually start clearing them. So let's dive in. So one of the most common reasons that people come to me for a past life regression is to either gain insights into patterns or fears or struggles in this life. Now that could be financial, that could be with career, that could be anxiety, depression, that could be the relationships. Like it covers all areas of their lives, or even, blocks with going deeper into their spirituality. Or some could just come because, this is part of their spiritual journey. They are here to understand the depths of their soul, and that also means diving into past lifetimes. But, I've had clients, sometimes when we go into the session or even before the session, they might have said to me, look, I've tried hypnosis before, or I've done this and this and this, and I really struggle to go deeper or to see or experience anything. And I'm just worried that this might come out in our session. Now, when we go into session, if there is a block, it's almost like an invisible wall that just prevents them from accessing their past lives again, or even connecting with their higher self, because I always work with a person's higher self. I will always bring them into session to get not only guidance, but to know that they are fully protected and fully safe as we go on our journey. Now, what I've discovered over the years is that when this happens, these blocks often stem from some deep-rooted fear of the unknown, or often some unresolved inner child wounds that we need to go and address first. Now, in my work, I cover all gamut. So, healing and wounding from all areas of our life, from our inner child to our ancestral, the things that have been passed down the genetic line, to past lives, and, all the influences energetically in between. So, when we have a block that is around the fear of the unknown, if someone has that unconscious fear, they are going to block themselves because they're afraid of what they might find in a past life. What can happen is often their system is going to shut down from accessing any information just as a form of protection. And that can be really strong if they've had obviously trauma in this life or carried over from past lives, or again, passed down the generational line. Fear of the unknown is such a big one and such an unconscious block that many people just don't know that they have, but is really preventing them from going deeper within their spiritual journey and, from really uncovering the things that are going to set them free. So, if someone also grew up in this lifetime feeling unsafe or feeling unworthy or like they had to give more than they received, they also might struggle just to trust the process of receiving guidance, receiving insight, or receiving love from their higher self or their past lives. Think of it like this. If your inner child learned early on that it wasn't safe to trust, if it wasn't safe to open up, if it wasn't safe to receive love, if you're always proving yourself or doing more to give other people love but struggled or didn't trust that love would come to you, obviously the same pattern is going to show up in your spiritual work, right? The unconscious doesn't separate our spiritual experiences from real world experiences. It literally just follows the same programming. So, if a client, as I said, struggles to go deeper, or we get to a certain point within our session and then they're just like completely shut down and blocked, I will work with spirit, I will work with their guides and be guided to where we need to go in order to clear that block. And again, often it is not even going into their past life in that session, it is actually addressing the inner child wounds from this life that they need to face first. So, I've noticed a couple of key patterns with the people that this happens to, right? Usually they have trouble in relationships, right? They overgive and they struggle to receive. Because you think about it, right? If they're struggling to receive, if they're an overgiver, if they're the ones that are always getting hurt in relationships, they really struggle to trust. And they're just consistently overgiving and really struggle to receive any kind of help, assistance, guidance, support. And maybe they've learned that early on, that they had to try and be there for everyone else and they had to protect everyone else, or they had to prove their worth by, being the person that will always give. And often that is the empaths of this world, right? Who are constantly giving and feel burned out and drained. And often in relationships, you will be attracting the narcissistic types, the people that are going to take advantage of your kindness and don't give you that in return. I've also noticed some patterns with the people that feel blocked going into these sessions with self-worth and their deserving wounds. Because deep down on an unconscious level, they actually don't feel worthy of that love, that support, that guidance, even from their very own soul. And if they grew up with an unconscious fear of receiving, if they grew up in an environment where love was conditional, receiving anything, even intuitive messages, can just feel so unsafe that their body just shuts down and they get completely blocked. We could be going through the start of this session and I have a particular way that I will be able to connect and get my client to connect to how they are receiving intuitive information, right? Through each of their psychic clear senses, their intuitive senses, their sight, their feelings, their knowings, their hearings. And we can get to a certain point where they're experiencing everything, they're seeing, feeling, etc. But when we get to a point where we're maybe going to enter a past lifetime, or when we're going to meet their higher self, that's when it all shuts down. So, if any of these sound familiar, just know that you're really not alone. And, these patterns can absolutely be healed. And that is part of the process. And that's why I really specialize in all of these areas, because they are so interconnected, And when we get to this place in a session where we hit this block, right, I don't force the process. I will work with spirit to go to where we need to go in order for that aspect that is creating the fear, creating the block, to be healed. And again, often it's our inner child. Often it is this lifetime, the inner child piece that needs to be healed and brought awareness first before we can even go into a past life. So this is generally what I do. I will guide them into their body. I help them tune into where the resistance is held physically. The body never lies. It stores all of our unprocessed emotions, all of our unprocessed trauma. And once we are able to locate where that resistance is held, we can actually start to release it. This is why, big part of my work is somatic work. And then if it is a part of us, if it's an aspect or an aspect of our inner child that's coming up with this fear or this blockage, we go back to that younger version of themselves. We go back to that place and that time when they first experienced that fear, when they first experienced that self-doubt, that sense of unworthiness. And then we create a resolution around it, and this can come through so many different forms, but all of it is energetic. Sometimes we bring in the higher selves of the people that were involved. Other times we empower, that client's adult self to give their inner child what they needed but never received. And then once those inner child wounds are acknowledged, once they're soothed, once the needs of that part of my client has been met, I can then either psychically channel the past life experiences that may still be influencing them that also need to be cleared, and then clear it energetically. Clear any karmic imprints that are still playing out in this lifetime. Clear anything that is still connected to this. Or we can then try and go into a past life again and see if that block, the inner child work that we did, was enough for us to go into that past life. And sometimes in a session, a client won't need to go into a past life. That might be saved for another time. And, the session really was to work with the inner child and to clear all the trauma that they're still holding on from this life, this experience. And I've often had clients say when, a particular memory maybe comes up from this lifetime, from their inner child, they're like, oh, well, I've worked on this. I thought I healed this. And I'm like, baby, the healing process, the spiritual growth process is an ever evolving mystery. It's like peeling back the layers of the onion. And if we have like a particular core trauma or certain experiences from this life, we will always go back to heal them. So, anytime that we do this healing work, oftentimes we'll go back and it'll be a different aspect, a different element, a different lens that we have to heal and work with from the same experience. And then oftentimes, if I'm called to, if I'm guided, I'm going to take my client into a future lifetime. I'm going to take them into a place where they've already embodied their healing. They've already embodied their power. They've already embodied their heart's true desires. And this really is such an empowering experience because it really helps them anchor in the new beliefs, the new guidance, and, the new energy that they need to step into that future. And one of, some of the most powerful aspects of this process, in fact, is the future timeline activation. Once someone releases their past, once someone heals those inner child wounds or the karmic residues that they've been carrying from past lives, often they need something to anchor into, a vision of what's actually possible for them. Seeing themselves as healed, seeing themselves as empowered, seeing themselves as thriving makes the new energy just feel so real. And it also rewires the subconscious to align with that new version of themselves. And, and this is the thing, it's not just the energetic shifts and transformation that takes place, and clients will instantly feel lighter. They'll get huge amount of aha moments, huge amounts of awareness of why these certain relationships or patterns or experiences are happening in their lifetime. But we also get the guidance, the real specific guidance, the next steps, the clarity so that they can actually start embodying the shift straight away. From the moment the session finishes, they can actually start, and it's already starting because everything is happening in the quantum field. But I also want to preface that, any of the work that we do is an energetic shift, right? First of all, it starts with the awareness. So we get to the root cause. We bring awareness to it. We understand what we need to know. We understand the lessons. We shift that out energetically, whether that's the trauma, the emotions, the beliefs, whatever it is that we're holding on to. And, with any kind of energetic work, things that we've been holding on all our lives or holding on to from lifetimes or even being passed down the ancestral or generational line. Integration post-session is really important. So I always encourage my clients to write down any insights, any emotions, or any messages that either came through or that are going to continue to come through as the days go on, because I do get a lot of messages from my clients like the day after or when I do my check-in, and they're like, I've had another revelation, or I've realized even more about this or even more about this, and it's a very empowering part of any of the work that we do. And then again, helping them to really ground back into the present moment, spending time in nature, eating grounding foods, to really help anchor the work that we did into the present moment, because this is where it's all at, right? We can go back and we can go forward energetically in time, but it is about being in the present moment. So if we can clear out from our past and anchor in the future and bring that into the present moment and ground that in the here and now, it's extremely powerful, it's extremely potent, and the transformations that can happen can be instant. Honestly, I've had clients that have come to me, and when I've done my check-in, shifts have happened in their, tangible shifts in their life straight away. People have got back, their ex has messaged them that exact night and want to get back with them. Crazy stuff that is so instantaneous, you couldn't write this shit, honestly. So, if you are thinking about, if you're being called to do some more inner work, if you're being called to explore a past life, for example, but you're afraid that, the spiritual hypnosis isn't going to work. You're afraid that you're not going to be able to see anything or feel anything. You're afraid that you're going to be blocked, or you feel blocked somehow in your spiritual journey. Then I really encourage you to look deeper, and just ask yourself these questions. Do I fear the unknown? Do I struggle to receive love? Do I struggle to receive support? Do I struggle to receive guidance? Are there any unresolved wounds or experiences from my childhood that might actually be affecting my ability to just trust the process? And remember, just healing isn't just about clearing the past. It's about creating space for something new. By healing your inner child, by healing your ancestral line, by healing your past lives, you're rewriting old patterns. And you're opening the door to not only deeper spiritual connection, but clarity and transformation in literally all aspects of your life. So if this episode resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. You can send me a message on Instagram or share your biggest insight from today's episode. And if you're ready to go deeper, then I offer private sessions where we can work through these blocks together so we can actually achieve and understand your soul's path, the lessons that you're here to learn, and give you clear guidance to really embody that, to create your highest potential in all areas of your life. So I just want to thank you for being here. Just want to thank you for doing the work, because I know it's not easy, and I know it's not for the faint-hearted, but trust that your soul has guided you here for a reason. So until next time, honor your journey and know that you are so worthy of receiving. Sending you so much love. Take care.